Najla, how are you as you sip your water? Welcome to the lockdown sessions.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. It's so nice to see you. Now, obviously, people listening, and some actually watch, but I think most people listen. I need to start with a disclaimer that says you and I have known each other coming up for 10 years. And you were the person who got me to go to the top of the Burj Khalifa.
That's true, I remember.
And whenever I would come to Dubai for work, I would find myself normally sleeping on your sofa or in your spare room so that we could go out in Dubai. So we go back a long way. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you on here was actually more to do with how you've turned your life around into finding this amazing inner strength in sport. And I was wondering, when I think of some of the mental resilience you've had to show in racing, which we'll come on to, if that had helped maybe during the lockdown months, not being able to see your family, not being able to travel back home, not being able to go out as much. So I thought it'd be really interesting to hear your perspective of how sports maybe helped, and how do you make the time to literally commit to racing, because I know how much energy that requires. So how's sport?
Yeah, so I mean, it helped a lot. I didn't plan it. Like, I didn't know that I'm gonna get into sports this much during lockdown. It was a coincidence maybe, or maybe I didn't realize that because of the lockdown I got into sports. I don't know. I just feel that it came on its own, but it saved me during the lockdown.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't imagine my lockdown or last year without me having this passion. I don't know what I would have done. So, yeah.
So what does it bring you that you feel as though without it, it would have been such a different experience?
Oh, it brings so many things. So, of course, the physical strength, but I think what helped me last year was the mental strength that I was able to really feel through my endurance sports. Like, I just feel I'm stronger on all levels, not just physically. And that's because I do a lot of endurance stuff, like long hours. I'm very committed to my program, to my training, very disciplined. So it brings all of these aspects to your lives, not to your life, not just to your sports life. So I became more disciplined in life, more committed to the things I love, and I learned how to find time for everything. It doesn't mean like I just do sports and I stop seeing my friends and the people I love, or do things different than sports, but I just learned how to manage my life in a more disciplined way. And yeah, mental strength, it's a big thing. And I think you really, really get it from sports, because I don't know, it's just like, I mean, I got like this kind of keep on challenging myself to see what are my limits, and I still don't know what are my limits. So it's really interesting.
Well, you know, it's funny, isn't it? Because when we first met, you were doing a lot of horse riding. You were jumping out of aeroplanes. So you were always active. But it sounds like now, if I was to come and visit you in Dubai, I'd be better off bringing my running shoes and maybe a jacket to go out clubbing.
Well, yeah, I stopped clubbing, and I mean, life is phases. So I think I've done all of these things, and it's kind of like you find your passion at the right time. Maybe, I don't know, because it's hard to go out at night and party for late hours or drink a lot of alcohol if you want to really commit to this kind of lifestyle. And yeah, you have to do it. You have to happily do it. You cannot force it. So it has to come on its own. And I think I tried a lot. I'm a very active person, but somehow I just found my passion in endurance sports.
So cool. Listen, let's talk about these specific sports because people hear endurance sports, they might not know what we're talking about. So tell us about these endurance sports, because then I think the mental strength becomes even more apparent.
There are several sports that can be considered as endurance. What I do is triathlon, so mostly swimming, cycling, and running, and for long hours or long distances. So yeah, that's what I mostly do, and I do races. I haven't done much races, but because of the lockdown, I mean. But one thing that I enjoy doing is to set up challenges for myself. Like, for example, I want to ride 200K at a certain time. So I train for it and then I do it.
Right.
So these kind of things, if there's no racing, are just the same as a race almost.
So you said 200K.
On the bike, yes.
Yeah, yeah, right, of course. I'm just wondering, how many hours of cycling is that?
It depends on what speed you can go. I mean, some people are really, really fast. I started cycling like last January, like proper cycling with a coach. And I wanted to challenge myself on my birthday in December. So to do 200 kilometers in 6 hours, 30 minutes or less. And that's like average speed 31 or 30 kilometers per hour. For me, it was hard because I was not yet really fast on the bike, but like you challenge your level. So I was so happy that I was able to do it. And like I have a coach. I think I was blessed to have him also because it's very important to have someone who can help you and support you and see the things that you're good at and that you can get better at as well. So he understands all the challenges that I set to myself, and he helps me to achieve them by training me and helping me physically and mentally to be ready. So it's just amazing the way sports can really like impact your life. And yeah.
If I'd have said to you 2 years ago, by the end of 2020, you'd have run a couple of triathlons, what would you have said to me?
I didn't know what triathlon means 3 years ago, so I would have asked you, what do you mean by triathlon?
Right. So it's amazing, right? Because I'm interested, right? So I don't swim except for fun, and I don't cycle. So I connect with you on the running long distance. Talk to me about what a race is like. Like, what are you thinking and feeling, and where does the mental strength come in? Because basically you're swimming, cycling, and then running. Is it always the same order?
Yeah.
Right. So you swim first, then you cycle, then you run. So like, take us to the starting line of your first race. You've never done one before. You've trained for each discipline, but I don't know how many of them you've done altogether. So like, what are you feeling before? What are you feeling during? When does mental strength kick in?
I think the mental strength starts when you decide to do something that you wouldn't imagine yourself doing it. And then you start to see it as, of course, I can do it. Why not? And then it's like your challenge and your goal at the same time. And you commit to it. And it's a bit of like your life becomes around it because this is what you're focusing on now and you really want to do it.
Right.
So imagine like I was doing this during lockdown. So it was so much fun because I was at home. We were not allowed to go out, and I had a lot of time to do this, to train at home and to focus on my goals. And I started to love it and love it and love it. And now there's no lockdown and I'm able to do it outside as well. So it starts from there. And then like my first race on its own, it was a test for my mental strength because I went alone and I never had any race in my life before. I don't know what's a race. Like, I don't know what racing means. And swimming, like, I'm not a swimmer. I never swam 25 meter in a pool. I only know how to float. So I thought swimming is easy. I can get it and I can learn how to freestyle. But it was the hardest part for me. And standing on the sea and seeing all those people around me like ready to jump in the water. I don't know what it feels like. They might jump on me, it will be crowded. I was terrified.
Wow.
But there was no way to leave. Like I just decided to do it, and
You're in your kit now, right? You're on the beach.
Yes.
you can't
Yes.
go.
And I was too slow, but I did it, and I was so happy. And yeah, since then, swimming became like my biggest challenge because I'm not good at it and I really want to become a good swimmer. So I got a swimming coach and I started to work on my swimming. And yeah, now I can swim. Like I'm much more comfortable in the water and I don't mind to jump in the water in the beginning of the race. I'm not scared from the sea. I don't care if there are waves or not. I'm not scared of jellyfish in a sea or something. Like it's just like you train your mind for something and you can really adapt, and then your body adapts, of course, because you're training. Like
it's muscle memory, right? I mean,
yeah, it's a memory, exactly.
So you don't, because in the moment we don't want to have to try and think about things. It has to be at a deeply subconscious level the way you operate.
Yes. So imagine someone, it's the same. Like if you're not into cycling, it's the same as if you're not into swimming. It will take a lot of strength to train for it, and then with time you will love it. There's no way you don't love it if you want it. So this is what happened with me.
I completely hear you. In fact, your story of what it was like on the line reminds me of the first time I raced in an ultra marathon. And I remember getting there, I was quite nervous as well. I'd never done anything like it before. I had no idea what it would feel like on my body beyond 3 hours. And I was going to be running for 6. So I knew there was a whole world of pain waiting for me in this day ahead. And I'm on the line and I'm quite nervous and I'm trying to sort out my headphones and whatever I'm going to listen to. And this guy turns around to me and he says, "It's only the experienced runners at the front, mate." And just turned his back on me. And honestly, I had to walk to the back. So I felt like this big.
Yes.
And it's hard because you're making decisions during the race and you don't know what impact they're going to have. So you'll only learn, whether or not it was a good decision by making it. I wonder when you're going through and so say you've gone through that first swim and you're coming out the other side. So what's going through your head now? How do you focus? Because you've got to change the whole discipline. The body's moving completely differently now.
Oh yeah. So exactly. So no, I train for it. Like there's a discipline in the training of that. It's called break sessions. So sometimes I do a bike run training, sometimes I do a swim run training, or like we do these kind of things so we get a bit used to how the legs will feel when you move from the seat to the run, or from the seat to the bike, or from the bike to the run. But yeah, you have to switch like your mind switch automatically. So when I leave the sea, I'm like the happiest because this is the hardest part for me.
Right.
And then I'm going to my favorite part, which is the bike. So I'm so happy whenever the swim is done. And I feel so like comfortable to run to the transition, to take my bike and ride. And yeah, so this is how it goes.
I think that's cool. I'm thinking, you know, you pointed out, it's not that you don't just do sport. You have a full-time job. You operate as a sales manager at Ericsson. You're working in a technical environment with regards sort of product and technology. Have you seen you use your mental strength that you've got from sport? Do you use it at work as well?
I think, yes, I do. Like I became much more calm and patient at work. And I even learned a lot how to switch off. Like now I have my training, I finish, then I start work. Like I don't mix both things. And so it really helped me a lot. I became calmer, I would say, at work. And to be honest, my work sometimes it's phases, but sometimes it can be very stressful, like now. And I'm racing next week, and I'm stopping my work at like 9 p.m. every day. But it's not impacting me mentally. Like it's fine. I just switch off whenever I'm done. And I learned how to do it, I think, because of all of this discipline and trainings that I've been doing for now almost a year.
How does because that kind of mental toughness at work, just having a tough job, I mean, you know, mentally, can be quite tiring. You know, when we look at professional athletes, they're not going home and working for another 5 hours after their training session, right? They're going for a rub down with the masseur, and then heading home to stay in bed and rest and watch TV because they got a big game tomorrow. You're pulling 15-hour days and doing the training. Is there ever a crossover of impact?
Is there what? I like the question.
Is there like a crossover of impact in that, you know, the tiredness from work starts impacting the sport, or does the fitness from the sport keep you fresh so that you don't get tired at work? It feels like they're somehow connected here.
Well, of course. I mean, like now I feel really tired because I had a run in the morning and I'm already tired from training, and I had a long day at work.
Right.
So I'm like tired. There's no way. But the good thing is that we're working from home, and I think this is an advantage for me, regardless of the COVID, because it gives you, like, I can still like rest. And I mean, I'm at home, so if I have a 30 minutes in between the meetings, I can just sit on my balcony, breathe, or I can take a small nap. Or so this is it plays on my advantage. It's helping me.
Yeah, I like that. I want to talk as well about, you know, because you described it as a passion and finding your passion and purpose, and sport clearly is what you love doing. But you did something amazing as well in kind of late autumn last year, which just totally touched me when I saw it, because I've always had envy of your Instagram posts because you just live in a sunshine world, right? So whenever you're going out, whether it's cycling or running or camping, it's just beautiful locations and beautiful weather. But and so here's the question. When you went and did your cycle ride back in, was it October time?
You mean the one in Lebanon?
Yeah.
Or the one? Yeah, it was in September.
September time. When you did that, what moved you to, one, do something so dramatic, two, to raise so much money? So it's not just your own passion and purpose, you're also doing it to help others. So I'm thinking, wow, there's a lot of mental strength going on here. Like, tell us about that.
Yeah, that was like the highlight of my year, because it brought so much happiness to me to be able to do something that helps people through a passion. Like, I love my job and I'm really grateful for having it. I've been with the same company since I started work, and I really appreciate them. But when you have a passion, it's just different. It's like when you work. For me, it's like when if I can work in sports, this will give me the same satisfaction that I felt when I did the ride for the Children Cancer Center in Lebanon, because we had this big explosion for August, and Lebanon was going through a lot, and it's still. So the country was really in a disaster, complete disaster, while I'm living my life here in Dubai. So I felt like so bad because I can't do anything. And I just felt like the urge of whatever doing something. So the idea just came to my mind because I used to help the same center since my best friend was diagnosed and survived a really strong cancer. Uh, and then I thought of them. I was like, yeah, maybe I should do something in cycling and raise money for the center. And I did it with a friend of mine who's a cyclist. And it was like beautiful 3 days. Like, of course, I told my coach I want to do it, and he supported me and he trained me. But it was challenging. It was after 8 or 9 months of me starting training, like getting into the sports. And what kept me going is my love for the sports, and it's the cause that I'm right. Like it's because I'm doing it for a purpose, and the reaction of the people towards it is what kept me going. And I think they felt how much I love. Like they felt my energy. They felt that I'm really hating what's happening in Lebanon, and I really want people to maybe do sports because it helps them, or see how beautiful Lebanon is on the bike, or like this. These are the kind of messages that I wanted to give. At the same time, I wanted the kids who are struggling and living in a country that's going through a lot, to help them. I mean, because they are already going through a lot, so they had enough of that. And we wanted them to see the bike and to experience what cycling means and all. So, I mean, imagine like for me to have the opportunity to do this through sports and cycling. I felt like I'm so fortunate to be able to do it, and so lucky because it's such a beautiful feeling.
Yeah. I can only imagine what it's like to travel back to your home to support a charity you've supported before, doing something that you love that's raising both awareness and needed money. I mean, that's a cool collection of reasons why that would be a really fab few days. So you said it was 3 days. So what did you do in these 3 days? How far did you cycle?
Yeah, so we did the borders of Lebanon. Lebanon is a small country. The borders is around 560 kilometers, and it's just like a lot of elevation. So we had to go over 6,000 meters of mountains. Yeah, it was over 3 days. Like the first day, we went from Beirut to the north along the coast, then a bit to the side, and then yeah, the second day we went from the side to the south, and the third day we went from the south to Beirut again to the Children Cancer Center. So every day we were covering like on average 160 kilometers, and yeah, the elevation was really hard. um, First day was nice, second day and third day was so hard for me because you're tired. You don't get enough sleep. You have the accumulation of the fatigue and all. And then second day was hard. Third day was just mental. Like my body was like, what the hell are you doing? Just stop. Yeah. And then my mind was like, no, you're not stopping because like I can't stop. Like it's just no, there's no way. Everyone is waiting for me to finish everywhere, like in Dubai, in my friends all over the world, the Children Cancer Center, people who were supporting us in Lebanon, people I don't know, like they trusted me and they believed in me. Everyone supported the cause. So I was like, there's no way I can stop. I just have to keep going, and there's no way I will go into the car because we had a support car next to us.
Right.
So yeah, we made it, and it was really beautiful.
And you haven't even mentioned how you deal with the build-up of like lactic acid in your legs, because that can just be horrible when you're out racing, when you start feeling it.
Yeah, I actually feel it when I'm always, yeah, my friends say that I'm always in a race mode. Like whenever we're group cycling, I want to be in the front. Whenever we're running, I want to be in the front. But you know, this, I think this comes with experience. So you learn how to calm down, relax, because there's no point to go fast in the beginning. Then you will die and you won't be able to finish. So you learn all of these tactics, I would say, and you understand a bit more about sports.
Right.
And then, yeah, I changed. Now I'm not doing these things much. So I don't jump on the bike and really go fast because I can't. I always make sure my heart rate is okay. So to avoid these things, but it only comes from learning within the last year. Yeah.
Oh, I hear you. I remember the first 50K race. I went off way too fast, and after an hour, I was 14.5K in, and I shouldn't have been more than 11K in. So I was just, and I was running with a group, and they were talking, and I was trying to talk. I couldn't talk and run at that.
Yeah.
It was just impossible. So after we hit this sort of milestone, and I suddenly saw we were running past 15K mark, I said to the guys, I'll see you later. But it killed me for the whole race.
Yeah, I mean, this is for sure because you were running on your threshold, and
Yeah, so by the time I got to 28, 30K, I needed to stop, and then I needed to walk. And actually, I missed my time that I had planned and trained for by over 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I went off too fast in that first hour.
Yes.
It's a horrible lesson to learn.
Yeah. I can imagine how it feels.
So you raise money for the Children's Cancer Center. What did you raise? What are they doing with it? And I can't imagine how happy they were when you presented them with a check. I mean, that's
no, the money went directly to their account, so people were donating directly in the account of the Children Cancer Center. And I still remember like $16,000 is the money we raised in 3 days.
amazing.
And that barely covers an antibiotic course for a child who is having cancer treatment. So yeah, it's so much like heart warming to see this. And Lebanon, like now, the currency value it's too low, so people, they don't have money. And this Children Cancer Center is based on charity only. They treat the children for free. So yeah, at least we did a bit.
That's so cool.
Like suffering for 3 days on a bike to help in one antibiotic course. This is what I was thinking when I was on the bike as well. My last day, I was like, this is nothing compared to what people are going through. So it's fine. And at the end, I'm enjoying it somehow.
Right. And actually, you know, it's funny, isn't it? Because afterwards you enjoy it even more.
Yes, I loved it after.
There's nothing than the feeling when you're finished and you really enjoyed it, even though it was quite tough in moments.
Exactly. I mean, I got sick a bit because my body was so tired, but I was like so happy. It was a beautiful time in September.
I think it also goes, listening to you, it really makes me feel how, because you live on your own in Dubai, and I'm feeling like you're right, without sport, you would have just been locked down for 10 months on your own. But if you've got, do you have some kind of static bike at home that you can clearly ride, right?
Yeah, well, I was very smart by getting a home trainer just like a week before the lockdown.
Good move.
Yeah, so I told my coach, I still remember, hey, guess what? I have a home trainer. And he was like as happy as me because, like, okay, now we can train at home. So I put my bike on the trainer and I do all my training at home. And yeah, I was running a lot on the stairs of the building. You know, in Dubai, we have really high buildings. So instead of running outside because it was full lockdown, you could really see people going up and down the stairs. That was one of the workouts that I don't want to see ever again.
So how many flights you go? How many, like, you just keep going up and down, or?
Yeah, my building is like 25 floors. So I mean, it's really hard. You keep going up and down, you sprint few floors, you walk few floors, you jump a few floors. This was the kind of workouts my coach was giving me.
It's excellent. Listen, I know how much that burns the calves as you're going up and round.
Yeah.
That's tough work.
Oh, some people like in the community I train with, they were doing Everest on the stairs.
Right. Yeah.
During the lockdown. So yeah, different kind of challenges.
I have a treadmill here at home, and you can link into programs and run certain terrains, and then you just watch on the screen. You're at the terrain, and the machine moves with the level of the terrain, and suddenly you're at a 9% incline, and you're holding on and dripping with sweat because you were running too fast going into that. I think the fact that we have that, I mean, look, these are first world problems we're suffering from, right? We have equipment at home that allows us to train. But I think it's more than that, because it seems to me as though it's become part of the way you discipline your life. It's how you operate around the fact that you live a life of sport. And it seems to have done so much for your mental well-being as well as your physical well-being, and it also seems to be bringing you so much joy.
Well, exactly. And during the lockdown, I didn't change my discipline. Like, I was waking up, even though we were working from home, I could wake up at 8 9 and start my work and squeeze some training between my meetings or something. I couldn't. I was waking up every day at 5 a.m. I was doing my training in the morning. I shower, I get dressed, and I start work, and I go to bed early. So this was my life for the lockdown, and I loved it because I felt it's, instead of like impacting me in a negative way, I would say, it's rather helping me to become, I don't know, a better person and more disciplined and more sporty and more. So it was just like giving me good things.
I love the thought of it. I look forward to the time you and I can go for a run together. That just sounds...
Yeah. I can't wait.
It could be quite good fun. Look, we've come full circle. I want to finish on one last question. The world's all moving back to normal, so to speak, right? Everyone's talking about vaccine rollouts, and over the next year, I suppose we'll all be able to travel again, move around more freely. What's your kind of dreams and driving forces for your sport? Like, once the world opens up again, what will you do with racing? I mean, like, what? Because you're a traveler, Najra. Ever since I know you've lived in, I think, Iran, in South Africa, you've been in France for a while. you like to travel, so
Yeah, that's true. I traveled a lot, but also at the same time, like I'm loving the stability and the routine that I didn't have before.
right.
So it's like it came on the right time and on its own. It's like how sports came in the right time in my life. But yeah, I would love to pick a race in some beautiful country and get my favorite people to travel there to support me in the race and to have like a crazy vacation afterwards. I can't do it now because it's really hard to. I mean, some races are happening, but it's just hard to plan travel when there's COVID. So I hope that when this is over, I'll be able to do like an epic race somewhere. And yeah, I want my mom to be with me.
There's got to be a triathlon in Cape Town, surely.
Yeah, or maybe a full Ironman. We will see.
I would have thought that would be quite a nice place to be able to just go.
Cape Town is beautiful. That's true. Yeah.
Would be a nice race, quite nice environment, good weather, nice bars down in Boulder Beach afterwards.
Exactly.
Najla, thank you so much for coming on. It's so lovely to have another reason just to talk to you. And
Me too. Thank you. It's really nice to see you, Brad, and to talk to you always. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about something I love.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Hearing you talk about sport is really, Najla, what you've done with it is completely inspiring. And I think people listening will be able to make a connection with how literally in the last couple of years, your entire mental focus has switched. And there's such strength that you just do anything. And you're doing it with such love and a smile, which is how sport should be done, right? With a smile, even with the pain.
Yeah, it only brings happiness to your life. And I really, really hope like everyone who's not into sports to at least try and see if they can discover some love into some kind of sports, because it can literally change their life.
Well, I am grateful because during these lockdown sessions this year, Najla, I've got to speak to some really cool people, some colleagues, coaches, clients, but I haven't brought on friends to talk to.
Oh, thank you, Brad.
So it's so nice to actually have a friend who's really got something to share with people.
Thanks a lot.
I feel will really resonate. So thank you, and we'll get you back again once lockdown's over and you've got a race coming up or something.
Thank you.
See you later. Thanks, Najla.
Okay.